What's going on, everybody? This is Clint from the Diehard MMA podcast. This is odds.com. This video was filmed exclusively for odds.com. We break down UFC 257, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor, with special guest, the UFC's own Brian Boom Kelleher, helping us out on the podcast. It's a great episode. Make sure you check it out. Hit the link below. Head on over to odds.com.
All right, so moving this thing right along. We're keeping a little bit of a brisker pace this evening, folks, to make sure we don't take up too much of Brian's time. And like I said, we don't want to step on the toes of the other show later this evening. Plus, a lot of these fights, big favorites. They're a lot easier to break down when you're dealing with big favorites. There's not as much to talk about in those spots. Women's bantamweight fight, a spot that's really intriguing to me here. Julianna Pena coming back, 10-4, taking on Sara McMann, who is 12-5. Now, both these women are grapplers. This is a grinder versus grinder type of setup here, and it looks to me, again, almost like a spot where the UFC is trying to get Pena a name. Sara McMann, she looked excellent her last fight out, but we have a rule here on the podcast, Boom, is that you don't bet fighters who are 40 or older unless you've got a damn good reason to do it. And Sara McMann is 40 years old. She looked great her last time out, but man, nobody wins that battle with Father Time. You know what I mean? Eventually that day comes where you just kind of start to ebb off a little bit. And I'm wondering when that's going to come for Sara McMann. How do you feel about this fight?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like she still has it. I know she's older, she's like, what, 40 years old. Pena's coming off that loss to Julianna Pena, and she got submitted, which was a kind of a surprise because she was known to be the better grappler. But in this fight, I feel like I could see McMann pulling it off just because she might have that strength advantage where if it does end up grappling versus grappling, she might be able to outposition her, just kind of keep her where she wants and not really get submitted or get caught in anything. And I can kind of see that going out throughout the the duration of the fight. But I do think Pena has a little bit more on the feet. I think she's a little bit more dangerous, a little bit more aggressive on the feet. But McMahon's kind of fighting smart. I don't think she likes to get hit, really. She's kind of older, like we said, on the tail end of her career. You don't want to take too much damage. You can kind of tell in her fights that she really wants to enforce grappling. But she's strong, and I could see the strength being a big factor in this fight.
And that's a great call out, man. That was something that Pena really struggled with against GDR. And honestly, she looked out of sorts in that fight, man. We're used to Pena being this dominating wrestler, and she had nothing for Jermaine. And I think a lot of that was like you're saying, as a strength advantage. And we know how damn strong Sara McMann is. It seems like, from a couch perspective over here, maybe you can tell me differently, but when fighters age, it seems like the strength and the power is kind of the last thing to go.
Yeah, it's definitely, speed is something you see go a little bit quicker. I feel like strength and power still can be held on to for quite some time, especially with heavyweights, But, yeah, I mean, Sara McMann, I think she still feels good. She's still strong. She's got that wrestling background, which is going to, all that experience grappling over and over and having that wrestling strength is going to pay dividends in fights like these. And I could see it being a big factor, especially with Julianna Pena, that, getting upset in the grappling realm in her last fight. I think Sara McMann's going to try to expose that for sure.
I like it, man. I like it. Okay, so Sara McMann is a short favorite here. She's sitting about minus 130 right now. She opened up about minus 130, and some money came in the other way on Pena early, but then it's kind of trickled back the other way to push the line back towards the opener. And, man, the only thing, Pena's going to have that 3-inch reach advantage. If she decides to have kind of a stick and move type of strategy, which we haven't really seen from her successfully, so I don't know if that's going to really work out for her. This one's going to be grindy. It's going to be close, but I'm with you. I lean to the side of Sara McMann in this spot.
Yeah, kind of a hard fight to bet, right? I'm not really like 100% confident in it. You don't really know what Sara McMann's going to show up or how the fight's going to play out. Because I could see that, I could see Julianna Pena kind of outpointing her and trying to just keep it on the feet and pepper her and just use that jab to keep her on the outside.
Yeah. And you know what? This one might be a good one to watch on the scales. We always, I do a show every single Friday, watch the weigh-ins and kind of relay what I see to everybody. And especially getting up there in age, if she has a bad weight cut, that might be an opportunity for us to duck the other direction. But if she comes in looking, sharp and on point, everybody wishing they could look like her at 40 years old, then, lay the hammer down. Go ahead, take the shot.
There's so much to look into, right, man? It's crazy. Like you watch the weigh-ins, you're like, how are they feeling? How are they looking, right? And it makes me think about Max Holloway, because so many people
Oh my
were like,
God.
oh, he don't look good. He looks like he's at a rough weight cut. And then the guy puts on a performance like that. You're like, oh, all right.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. That's where, one of my things, I feel like, not to pat myself on the back or anything, I feel like I've got kind of a sharp eye for the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
And Jose Aldo gets me every damn time. That guy turns back the clock. He looks like death on the scales.
Yeah.
And then shows up and just outperforms everything. Like, I've lost so much money trying to bet against Jose Aldo. It's sickening. And it's because I already lean against him, and then he looks awful on the scales. So it's like reinforcing the fact I think he's going to lose. And then it just goes the opposite direction.
It's amazing, man, how he's revived his career, right?
Yeah, it's nuts. That guy keeps turning back the clock. And I think of him as like a 40-year-old man, but it's weird that he's still in his 30s. He's been around just forever.
Oh yeah, it seems like he's so far gone. You know what I mean? Like he's been around. He's had so many fights. He's been in the UFC for so long, all the way back to WEC.
It's crazy, man. You know what though? I'm happy. I'm happy for him, especially from a fan perspective. When the fan favorite type of guys like him stick around and they have some wins and they get to keep on cashing checks and putting on performances, it makes you feel good.
Yeah, it's cool to see for sure.
For sure.